But yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, they're all on Vimeo.
All right, you guys, just so you know, I started the stream for YouTube.
Okay.
But why can't I hear myself?
So everyone heard us trashing Vimeo.
No. just can you guys hear me?
Yeah, but you're a little quiet, but
I cannot hear myself.
Oh,
now
I can
it's
hear you.
much better for us. Yeah.
Okay. I can hear myself a little bit now. Okay. I don't have any notes. Like
That's okay.
There's not a lot to.
It's going to be a short show. Bring, like I said in the text, bring your personalities and help me out because I think over the 3 episodes I might have 6 bullet points. So
Okay.
I just don't have much to say. So, and I'm sure you can tell I'm
Frustrated.
having a frustrating moment and day. So I'm going to do my best, but I'm going to need your guys' help this episode for sure.
All right.
Okay, we are almost ready to go, but I'm on the wrong YouTube page, so hang on. I just need to make sure that I got all this going. Switch account. There we go. All right. Sorry about all this, you guys. There's like everything was just messed up. We are almost ready to go, but cool. I am. All right. Good. Okay, so we are there, we are here, we are ready to go. I need my musica. Okay, gotta make sure. All right, I'm gonna mute you guys for a minute. Wrong one. All right, everyone. Holy moly. Welcome to another amazing episode of House Meeting Podcast. Now, as I've been saying the last couple of weeks, we are the podcast for Big Brother. Not necessarily Big Brother news, not necessarily spoilers, but we have the best opinions of anybody out there in any podcast land about Big Brother. So I'm glad you're here joining us, and here we go. So, hi, Ellen. Hi, Sam. How are you guys doing today? Let's start there.
I'm doing good. I mean, ready for this season to be slowly but surely coming to an end. I love Big Brother, but this is a tough one.
It's weird. I have my problems with a lot of seasons, right? Most seasons I definitely get to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm over this. But this season it happened a lot sooner. I love this show, but there's just, I mean, we've talked about it, I think, for the last, probably 3 episodes. There's just something amiss. And that's okay. You know, the seasons don't always go exactly the way that you think that they should or that you want them to. And there's not always the most likable people, and there's always controversies. But I think this is the least I've cared in a while. It's not even the only person in the house that I actually still hate is Christmas. I don't hate anyone else. Even Memphis, I can find
she makes it easy for us.
She does. But yeah, it's a hard one to really care about right now.
I mean, well, and even the producers can tell too, because they spent most of this week recapping last week and then cutting away to the jury house because they knew those people would be much more interesting.
Totally. There just wasn't a whole lot to go off of. But before we kind of get into even more of our really cool opinions, everyone everybody out there listening, please take a moment to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. That really helps bring us up in the ranks. If you want to watch us live, you can go to YouTube when we are recording, which is usually Wednesdays and Fridays. Sometimes we push Wednesday to Thursday, depending on how we're feeling that week. But we always let you know on Instagram because, of course, we are on Instagram. We are also on Twitter, but I'll be honest, I haven't been as active on Twitter because of this whole feeling of not really caring. But I will say I'm not the only one not active on Twitter. A lot of people are not active on Twitter about Big Brother because I think a lot of people have stopped caring. It's very
Sometimes
odd.
I feel bad for like the Joker's updates people and
Oh, for
I'm just like,
sure.
oh man, you really like got yourself into something here. You have to constantly be watching feeds.
Totally. Well,
I don't
so
know.
even so Jokers is a really huge one that gives like feed updates. And then there's another one that's like on Twitter that's BB_updates.
Mhm.
And so I follow them and I actually reached out to, I don't even know who it is that handles that account, but I was like, you want to be interviewed? Because I'm curious like what these people who have to actually like watch the feeds at this point when there's not a lot to watch. Like Ellen and I were supposed to watch them because we have the live feeds show, but we realized this past week like there's not going to be a lot to watch,
There's
especially
nothing.
going forward. So
Well, and to be fair, it is kind of like that every season at this point. It gets a little boring unless you have like some crazy people in the house. It gets a little boring towards the end just because of the nature of only having 5 people left.
yeah, for sure.
But that being said, this is an especially uncharismatic, non-move making cast at this point.
Right. They made it very clear early on that if you made any big moves, you would be punished as harsh as possible for it,
Yeah.
essentially.
Even
And
if
so the
you-
people who are left are people who have no interest in big moves.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Good
Even if
summary of the season.
Totally. And honestly, it's not even making big moves. It's even talking about big moves
Yeah.
are going to get you
Oh, yeah.
on the block. Like you can't even have an opinion in that house without being
You can't even seem like you're a final two with someone.
seriously.
Just like people guessing based on you being
You can't even
friends in
seem like
real
you're
life.
friends. Yeah, you can't even seem like you're friends with someone.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to yeah, exactly. It's such a strange
But you also have to
direction.
secretly be friends personally with every single person. You have to be every single person's final two as well.
Right.
And you can't be talking game, but you have to be talking game because if you didn't talk game to me and I'm HOH, then you're
Yeah,
going up
oh my
because
God.
you never talk game with me. It's like, what is the perfect recipe for being in this house right now? It's so weird.
It is. I 100% agree. And that's a good way to phrase it. Is the recipe? Like the recipe is, it's like it's like that Friends episode where 2 pages got stuck together,
Yeah.
and what we have is like this weird. It's like a fish cake or something, like where you're like you had all these people that you really love to watch. And then you have all these people that you love to hate, kind of. But then all the people that you love to hate ended up winning because you put sugar on the fish. Yeah,
I don't know that I'm following, but I get the sentiment.
Fish cake, everyone. Fish
Fish
cake.
cake. This season is
No,
a
I
fish
get
cake.
it. You bake a cake and there's a fish inside.
Right.
Bake a normal birthday cake. I'm following the metaphor.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so, but let's can we break it down to like who is, since we don't have a lot to talk about this episode, can we say who is the cake and who is
And
the
who is
fish?
the fish?
So who's the cake?
I would say Kaser Janelle.
Everyone
Yeah.
who it's the
Yeah,
order of
everyone who's
elimination.
evicted. Yeah,
Yeah.
order of elimination. Kaser, maybe minus Nicole. I didn't care that much about her. Nicole A.
Up to
But-
who? Up to who? Up to what point does the cake become the fish?
I mean, honestly, Danny.
Yeah. So is Dan?
Honestly, I liked Danny by the end. All of them minus Nicole Anthony, I think, are the cake.
So is Danny then that bite that has just enough sugar on it,
Yeah.
but it has a little fish, but you're like,
It's like
actually,
touching the fish oil
Yeah, and you're
that's
like-
coming off of the fish.
huh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But then the next bite is, I don't know, Tyler, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
I would say
oh.
that there's a little custard that was injected inside of the fish that is Enzo.
Yes, and Tyler.
and Tyler.
But like Memphis and
but
Christmas.
Still, they've been tainted by the fish because they are inside of the fish, so they have been tainted.
Yes.
But it's a slight relief.
So
it's moments of relief. Right. You're imagining it too much. You can like feel the texture of what
I also have to say I'm a little nervous with this metaphor right now because it's my birthday this weekend and my sister did order me a cake to the house and now I'm a little concerned about what's inside of that cake.
Yeah, this has all been a hint.
Fish cake.
It's a big prank.
Surprise.
If you guys are enjoying this really awesome conversation about fish cake and the metaphorical aspect of fish cake and the Big Brother house, then shoot us over a couple pennies over at our Patreon page, patreon.com/house meeting. And join the conversation,
Yeah, tag us in a tweet and write #fish cake.
Let's get that going. Let's trend let's trend fish cake.
Yeah, and tag the other Big Brother contestants so they start getting a bunch of tweets with their name and fish cake, and they're like, what is waiting for us on the outside of this?
Seriously, they'll be so
I guess they won't be
confused.
getting it because they're in the house still.
Well, I love it. I don't know about you guys, but fish cake,
Yeah.
I'm all about it. So this week, as you can probably guess from what we've been talking about so far, this week was not the most exciting, and a part of it I think has to do with coming off of a triple eviction. As cool as that was, as cool of an idea as that was, it also then makes the next week the most dull.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like the season exploded, and now.
But it doesn't always do that because if a big move had been made, everybody would be really pissed, and ideally, everyone would be it would be a lot of blowout from what happened,
Yeah,
but nothing like that happened really. They were kind of upset at Tyler and Christmas, but even then, it was just I'm sorry, I'm sorry, it's still so friendly that it's oh my God, yawn.
Well, I think that might be because they did it too late. And there's only 6 people left now. So they kind of have to get along to a certain degree. If they had done this earlier on, I think it would have just gone so much better. If they had gotten rid of 3 people and then there was still 8 or 9 people in the house, that would have been really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But dangerous, and they're not willing to risk any danger.
Right. The committee keeps playing off what they keep doing is they keep telling people they're going to vote a certain way who aren't in the committee, and then lying to them, and then essentially setting them up and claiming that was some master plan that this week Enzo took so much time celebrating that he had set Tyler and Christmas up, which is I don't know.
What I do like about that though is I hope I like that Enzo is kind of falsely taking credit for everything, because I really hope that in the end he uses that energy that he's using to convince viewers that he is the mastermind in the house to convince the jury that he was the mastermind in the house. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw him in the diary room talking he is just such a mastermind. I was wow, I hope you can sell it. Because for a while I've been ooh, his final speech is going to be rough.
Yeah.
But now I have a little more hope. I'm if he can do that in the diary room, I bet he can do that for the jury.
Yeah.
I think he's in a good place, kind of, actually.
I think
we'll
so
see.
too.
It all kind of depends on Cody.
That would actually, that would help me not hate this season. And I don't want to say I hate it, because I don't. It just went in such a direction I was hoping it wouldn't go in. But anyway.
And it went in the same direction the whole season is part of it too.
Yeah.
You want to see some push and pull, and it was the same.
Yeah.
It was just a car moving forward the whole season.
But if Enzo
to add another metaphor.
Right.
What kind of animal is in this car?
It's a car moving forward with a rotting carcass inside.
All right.
A rotting fish carcass.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't even know where I was going anymore. But anyway, so Sunday's episode, Cody won HOH. Of course he did.
Kind of a bad time to do that for him, because they put up the point that he's kind of becoming a target. He could very well be a target of Memphis. Like as soon as the very next episode, because Memphis does seem more devoted to Christmas and Enzo, frankly. And now he can't compete for next week's. So he's truly open.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think Cody he's destined, I think, right now to win the game, but also he's going to have to sidestep a lot of stuff to do that.
Yeah.
He's going to have to win veto. I mean, I would guess that he's probably going to go up. I mean, it depends. I think the only person who wouldn't put him up next is Nicole.
Yeah.
Enzo probably wouldn't either, actually. Enzo would
Christmas and Nicole, you think?
I think Christmas.
Well, Memphis and Nicole, or Memphis and Christmas, rather.
If Memphis or Christmas win HOH, they're definitely going to put up Cody.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to pray, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
What I thought was interesting about this episode, I actually did kind of like some of the background. I like it when they give us the background of the double or triple evictions, just because it happens so fast. You don't know what's going on. You don't get the diary room thoughts. And a couple things that I was interested to hear was because while watching that triple eviction, I was like, why, Enzo? It felt like a ridiculous decision. But then when you hear them describe why, it feels a little less ridiculous. It's still not as fun to watch. I still wish they did the other thing. But to hear that Enzo was like, well, if I did that, I would have blindsided Cody, is like, okay, yeah, you're right. You've invested in Cody so deeply that to blindside him would be a really bad move for him, as much as that's what I wanted to see happen.
Yeah.
And then like Tyler saying, not that this is that great of an excuse, but saying that he put up Nicole and Danny because he had just upset Nicole, and then Danny's the only one who has put him up, and then those two people are a duo, so that's why I put them up. It's like, okay.
I mean, it makes sense. If you have 5 minutes to think about it, it makes sense.
Yeah. But it doesn't make it less, I guess it makes it a little less excruciating, because it's excruciating watching it when nothing happens in a triple eviction, essentially. It's like.
Yeah. And Tyler should have thought of this weeks ago when he was head of household and nominated 2 really easy targets.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I don't know. I think that's the problem. That's why it's hard to hate this season, because you can't understand what they're doing. It just sucks to watch.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Yeah.
And like even the fact that the other thing is that Cody said he threw all of the comps. And I think that's what's frustrating is like, that is a big move. Like that was a decision to make, and it's a big move, but it's the least interesting to watch big move. So it's like, I get it. That was smart. But man, do I wish you didn't do that, because it made watching this 2-hour episode of this show that I've now devoted a podcast to so boring to watch.
Well, yeah. And for him to do that, it means he feels that safe in the house.
Yeah.
He's built himself this massive safety net, which is like so frustrating. It's the only reason I don't like him, frankly.
Yeah. And also at the same time, it's a reason to just go like, oh, well, he should win. Like he should just win, because if you've done that much work in the house that you feel safe not winning HOH in a triple, all right, well then you should win. I mean, I don't hate Cody. I don't necessarily want to see him win, because that just leads to the most boring season I've ever seen. But at the same time, he kind of deserves it.
Deserves to, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a hard one. I don't think much else happened on Sunday except that Tyler.
What was the HOH comp again?
Literally didn't take
Does
any
anybody
notes.
remember? I wrote down "love this comp."
Oh, you did?
But I don't remember what it is, so maybe I didn't love it.
Oh my
god! Wait.
The listeners are
Hold
like,
on one
"Come
second.
on!"
I'm just gonna Google it. Whatever.
Wait. Okay. It was.
You'd have to cut this out. We sound.
Oh, the yoga.
Oh yeah. I love the undressing that's what it was.
Thank you,
I
Sam.
love undressing comps. I think they're so fun. I love them.
You're such a
I don't know why.
You just like the stripping aspect
Yeah.
of it.
No,
just
but they
outed
did
yourself.
this one season where they were on jet skis, and I loved that. That one was even more fun than this one. I think it's such a fun idea that like it speeds up depending on which button you unpress. I just think it's a very creative idea for a competition that it's the kind of competition I don't feel like I've ever seen anything like it on another show.
Yeah, I agree.
But I guess that's why I wrote love this comp.
Love this comp. I can't remember it, but I love it.
But I loved it.
Yeah, so that was cool. I did like that comp also. I also thought it was funny that I forget what happened, but Nicole like ended up like laying down or something. Like she's a hot mess this season, just all over the place emotionally with the comps. Like she is just a hot mess. But
yes.
So then Wednesday, so Tyler and Christmas were put on the block, blah, blah, blah. Wednesday's episode was veto. Let's see. I take notes on my phone while I'm watching the show, and then
me too.
If I don't go back and look, there's all these typos, and I'm like, Tyler liking to Enzo. What does that even mean? Like, so whoops, I don't know what that means. This comp was like putting the photos in order.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of a creative comp because there were not very many rules, and so they had to actually figure out the game to play the game.
Yeah, I love that Enzo like did not figure it out.
Well, neither did Tyler.
Tyler
apparently.
also
and I guess
maxed
Tyler
out.
did. Yeah. Well, Tyler started talking about while he was playing it. He was doing the diary rooms. He was talking about like the hot dog and stuff, and yet, so like he kind of knew the concept. It seems like, yet he didn't do it.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that if one is out of order, you can like keep mixing them and you won't ever know. But still, it's heartbreaking.
How weird. I was shocked that
I was shocked too.
That's probably the worst Tyler's ever done in a comp. I don't think he's ever done worse than that. Like he's never timed out on anything. And I guess maybe that was like the beginning of the end for him, really. Also, what happened in this episode is Christmas, and I know I bag on her a lot. I'm sorry.
It's hard not to.
She's really irritating to me, but she, in the diary room, called herself a comp beast. I don't know if you guys remember
I
this.
did not know
yeah.
that.
No, she did.
The crap does that? Who calls themselves? Oh my God. This is why I don't like her, because who does that? Although I will say, I think she's one of those people, and I'm the opposite of this person, so maybe this is why I don't like her, but she's one of those people where like she doesn't think anyone is bullshitting her. So somebody says like, "Oh, you like what's an example? Christmas, I think that you're like a really good person with like a really great personality, and you're a total comp beast." Okay, so somebody gives her that compliment. She takes it 100% to heart and goes, "I am a really good person. I am a comp beast. That is now my personality." Like she doesn't, I don't think she has any sort of self-reflection of like, is this person just saying this to be nice? And that's all I would think if I were in the Big Brother house. Is anybody that told me anything, I'd be like, well, they're just trying to be nice, so I don't put them up.
Yeah.
It's funny because like the reverse is also true. She also, I think, is kind of a really bad liar. Like when she went into Cody to talk to Cody this week to like beg him to use the veto, and she was like in the diary room, she's like, "I'm gonna turn up the waterworks." And like I think she was legitimately crying partially, but then like clearly everything she was saying was so like blatantly manipulative and like you couldn't trust us saying. I mean, Tyler too, frankly, was kind of like being blatantly manipulative, but at least he was like doing it to stay. And I don't know.
She did the same thing in the Noms episode too, where she was she was like, "Oh, Tyler made me do it. Like Tyler was the one that wanted to switch the vote." And Cody was like even if Cody didn't have a relationship with Tyler at all, he would still know that wasn't true because she she was like, I'm such a good liar. And
Yeah.
then
And he kept saying yeah over and over to everything she said. And it sounded like the exact same clip, just edited. He kept going, yeah. And it was like, he doesn't buy this for a second.
No, it was she's just so annoying to watch. But at the end of the Wednesday episode, when the narrator comes on, the Big Brother narrator with his big booming voice, he recited a night before Christmas like lyric to her, like, or about her.
About her, yeah.
My first reaction was like, okay, what boomer producer came up with this? Because they were obviously so proud of it. Like they were, you could just tell production was like, oh yeah, we did it, we got him, and it was so stupid and bad.
The state of television competition, reality competition, like joke writing. So this is a little bit of a segue, or a non sequitur, but I watched an episode of like the new Weakest Link that Jane Lynch is.
Right.
And it's like solid because I love it. I love any game show and especially like quiz shows.
Yeah.
But she delivers. So every round, there are like 6 rounds per episode, and every single round she has to deliver 3 like jokes about how stupid the contestants are.
Oh,
so like you can't tell a hot dog from a, I don't know. I'm bad at this too.
Yeah, but
hard thing to do. But like they're all supposed to be like these puns, and they're all so just nightmarishly bad, just so like bottom of the barrel. And it's because they have like 30 seasons now almost or whatever, and you just like truly run out of things to joke about. Well,
in Big Brother, I often argue the point that they're self-aware, like they're aware of how cheesy, and like because it has what's the word I'm looking, it's like it's campy, you know. And so they're aware to an extent, but this is like, when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's not camp. Like they just think that's funny, and it isn't. Like the joke didn't land.
No, and I immediately saw like the conference room when the writers came up with that, and they were so excited about it. Like that's what I saw in my head, and I was just like looking at it, and I was like, you're really gonna pull that at the end of this type of like at this season, this episode? That's what you're gonna do? You're gonna give.
I'll pull back the curtain a little bit on like TV production and say a lot of the times the things you see that end up on a show were like throwaway first drafts that people forgot to replace because the like timelines go so quickly that you just are like, you're like, oh, we never fixed this. We were supposed to come up with a good joke here. Okay, just do whatever it said already. And like,
oh, that's so funny. That makes sense. I mean, that
lot.
actually does make sense because, you know, they're producing 3 episodes a week. Like that's a lot, and that's a big time crunch. Like I imagine they either have like different crews that are doing that, or they're just working a lot. And so I could see things like that getting missed, and those jokes going, oh, forgot to take that one out. Like that makes a lot of sense actually.
Yeah.
So then well, you know what, before we move on to Thursday, let's move on to I think what is going to be the best part of this episode.
This is the part I'm so excited for this whole week.
All right, Ellen, the Julie Chen Moonves outfit review.
So, oh my God, I felt sick. When this episode turned on. Like, I was just like, oh no. But I'll just start with what she was wearing, which I'll be honest, the only thing that I even remember seeing, I had to look back at the picture because the dress was so loud that all I remember is the dress.
Yeah.
I like didn't even see her face. Her hair could have been in a ponytail. Her hair could have been blonde and I wouldn't have noticed because she was wearing this mid-calf length plaid. Like, is it even? It was
multiple
a weird
plaids.
plaid ruffle.
Like maybe with some gingham thrown in.
Yeah, like gingham, like within the stripes of the plaid.
Yeah, exactly.
dress that I've never in my life seen something uglier than this. I don't think I've ever seen a dress. Did you like it, Sam? Oh no, you froze.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I very much liked it, but not in a like a serious way. Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you froze for a second, but yeah, this dress is the ugliest dress I've ever seen.
Yeah, I liked it, but not in a serious way.
Yeah, this dress is the ugliest dress I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna go as far as to say that it is. I've never. Everything about it. I mean, the sleeve length is like 2 inches too long. Like even if this was a solid black dress, I don't think I would have liked it because the length of the dress, where the ruffle hits, the sleeve length, I don't even have anything else to say.
It looked like a grandmother's. Actually, it looked like a couch that you would see at the Goodwill.
Yes. My first thought was Roseanne's couch.
Yeah. And it had like every color like that you would find in like that box of 100 Crayola crayons. Like
yes.
You know those like tablecloth, like picnic tablecloths that are that really heavy vinyl and come in like really wild, like sometimes it's paisley, sometimes it's checkered. It seemed it was that first me.
Oh, Sam, you're cutting out a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
no. You're back now.
Yeah, it's going in and out. But we'll just keep on trying.
But yeah, it did seem. You're right. It seemed like one of those camping vinyl tablecloths. It was
hideous.
I felt sick looking at it, and I mean it when I say I didn't look at her face the entire time. It was so distracting. This is a perfect example of a piece of clothing wearing a person. Like when they say like, "Oh, that dress is wearing you." It was. I mean, aside from the fact that it was ugly, it was also just wearing her. It was so loud that there was no Julie. It was just that the dress was just walking around saying, "But first."
Yeah, and my thought was just like, where does this woman shop? Like,
what is happening?
Who sells this dress? Is it one of those like super high end? Like, is it Dior and that's why she wears it because it's Dior? But it's like butt ugly. Like, what happens? I just, it's so strange. I don't know. She needs to stick with the classics, like, or something.
I like that the outfits are like slowly coming to this horrifying crescendo at this point of the season. Like, I just am very excited for this week because the way it's been going, it's getting exponentially worse.
It is.
I just thought this was like what Julie was all about. So that's why I'm like appreciative of it.
Oh, I'm appreciative of it. I'm always excited when she's wearing something terrible.
Yeah.
But this is the worst it's gotten. I like it when she's adventurous more than when it's this bad. Like last week, now that I've seen this week, I appreciate last week's outfit more because last week was adventurous, but she looked like a human being. And this week was rough. It was really, really rough. So I'm going to give this, how many plaid ruffles? I'm going to give this 0.2.
To be quite honest, ruffles. I think that's generous.
Sorry, Julie.
Yeah, that was not pleasant to look at. Definitely. So Thursday night's episode, we saw Julie and her hideous outfit. There was lots of talk about why Christmas should leave because she's going to be with Memphis and blah 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 blah. But ultimately, Tyler went home, and I don't know about you guys, but that entire episode, Christmas seemed too happy.
Yeah.
Like she's too comfortable in that house.
They mentioned that. They called it out. They were like, she is laughing like a psychopath.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just she's just so strange. Like, I don't want to. I mean, not that like we have so many people listening that are going to care about this statement, but like she just like it feels like she's like on steroids or something. Like she's so strong, she's so muscly. Is that a word?
Muscular.
That's the one. And then she's also kind of angry. Like, I feel like she has roid rage sometimes, but I mean, I don't really think she's on steroids, but like that's just the vibe I get, where like she doesn't seem like she's normal.
Yeah, she's got a few screws loose, that one.
Totally.
I don't know. But yeah, she seemed happy in both the edited parts of the episode and like sitting on the block when they would like cut to them sitting in the living room. She looked like crazed. She was like, ah. And at the end of the veto episode too, she was like, well, I'm pretty sure I'm not going home. So I was like, why are you so sure?
Yeah, it's real weird. And honestly, like, I mean, I guess I did have a headache last night watching it, so like maybe that was part of it. And
it's like
you guys,
the chicken or the egg, though.
Yeah, that's true. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't really see much of anything in that episode, like to talk about. Like there wasn't much.
Well, the jury house.
Oh, the jury house. That was the best part.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so nice to see Devon again. Even like I remembered when they started that that segment how much Kevin irritates me. But then even that, I was like, oh, but I still miss him. I wish he was in the house, not in the jury house.
He's at least a personality. Yeah, the jury house. I love when they start cutting to the jury house because it's always the boring part of the season.
Totally.
And then you get to see them hanging out. I love that Ian, in hindsight, unrelated to the series of events within the Big Brother house, I love that Ian was the first one so that he could start naming turtles.
Yeah.
And just have some time to himself. It just was like a really great series of events of everybody entering the house. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, and I thought the most notable, there's actually a lot, but I thought Devon's reaction to David taking the money was hilarious.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, what? And
Why?
But then I also liked that Ian defended him and was like, he totally did the right thing. He's been under attack this entire game. At least he's going home with something. So I thought that was cool. Also, Danny is very upset. Very upset. And it made me like her more, to be honest with you, because she cares about this game so much. Yeah. She loves this game. She loves doing this thing. And the fact that she got taken out the way that she did, she's just so bummed about it that you really saw her passion in her like sadness and her kind of anger. And I thought that was actually very cool to see.
Yeah. I also think that as angry as she is and as angry as everyone is, I hope I'm right in this, but it didn't feel like they're a bitter jury. It felt like with the things that Ian was saying and Devon, they're like, oh, like Cody's running the house, blah, blah. Like, I think that I'm really excited if that's the case, because that is one good thing about this cast is that it doesn't really feel like they're bitter jurors, which leads me to my big statement for this episode.
Oh, how exciting.
Which is that I think I have come to what was Tyler's downfall.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I think Tyler came into this game. So the last season he was in, his downfall was he made it to the final two. So he did something right. But his downfall was that the jury was bitter, which it has been in like the past 5 seasons or whatever. When it's not returning house guests, it seems like they're pretty bitter. It's really hard to not have your feelings hurt and then want to vote because of that. But he wasn't paying attention at all to jury management and made all of these alliances and then ended up lying to all of these people because of all of these different alliances. And then when it came to the jury, they didn't vote for him to win because they were all mad at him because he had lied to them. Well, this season he came into it and he's like, I am going to play a different game because that didn't work. So I'm going to try it differently. So he didn't make all of these alliances and he didn't get as far. And as it turns out, I think the jury's not going to be that bitter. And as it turns out, everyone else in the house, as he said in his eviction speech, was making all of these alliances. They all had that plan that he had the last season, and it's working this season because people aren't as mad in the jury. So he could have made it to the end making all of these alliances, but he promised himself he wouldn't because that was his downfall last season. But it's a different jury this season. I don't know how he could have known that.
Right. So,
but I do think that's his downfall. I think if he would have played the same game he played last season, this season, I think he might have made it. And if he was in the end, I don't think that would have been his reason for losing like it was last season.
Well, and I think almost what you're saying too is that part of his downfall is that he sort of, I don't want to say he created this level, this type of gameplay, because he didn't, but because he played that way last season and it was pretty damn successful, that maybe these other players saw that and they all tried to do it. So his downfall was literally his own gameplay being too good last season.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that theory.
Yeah, it's hard to watch because it's like you're seeing all these people saying in the jury house, like, oh, Cody's running the house, Tyler's running the house, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, they think you're a good player. Like if you would have just had a couple more of those alliances like Cody has, like Memphis has, like Christmas even has, then you would have probably done it. Even Christmas was doing it. Christmas had an alliance that didn't include Tyler. Yeah. And Tyler needed some of those backup plans like these other players have. Even though we don't like them, even though we don't like this gameplay, that's the strategy that's working this season.
Yep.
And Tyler, that's what he needed to do. In hindsight, that's what he needed to do. Totally. Not that I thought it was obvious from the beginning, not that I could have done any better, but I do think that's what he's missing is he didn't realize that everybody had all these side things.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really good point. So now we're left with 5 people in the house, and I think it's gonna be boring going forward because of the people that are in the house, but. And it's really just because they were all in an alliance together. So, of course, they have to turn on each other. But then you sort of like, it's hard to care. Because, I don't know.
And they're turning each other in a way that's like still calculated and trying to like kind of maintain the facade of the alliance.
Right.
And it's like, you have to, that's why like this week, I liked that whole talk about where Enzo is really trying to get Cody to consider the like cost of not getting rid of Christmas. Like even like I think in the end he probably totally made the right move.
Yeah,
because Tyler was probably the only person in the house who the jury might pick over him.
Yeah.
But I liked that like came into the fray, even if it, and then was like disappointing because of course like Cody was never going to consider that possibility, but. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to know that that's like a possibility on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is something Ellen and I talked about on our last episode, but that like there's this crazy like importance to them to keep everything under wraps, to be we called it they're the CIA versus like in an older season it was more just like all out war. And it was fine if everybody knew that you were in an alliance and that they were coming after you. Like, they were open about it. And this season, even to this point, I think, like you're saying, it's still CIA. It's still, like they're being operatives. And it's like, you guys, there's only 5 of you. We know that you're going to go against the alliance. Like, it's fine. Just tell each other the truth once in a while. I don't know. Whatever.
The only effect that has, though, is in the jury. Everybody arrives to the jury thinking, like, that they've been blindsided. Like everybody gets to the jury and they're like, wow, mind blown, Cody's amazing at this game.
That's true.
And as viewers we're like, God, he's so boring. But for them, their minds are blown. And it is kind of just like incredible jury management that makes for really boring TV.
That's true. That's a very good point. I mean, unless you guys have anything else, I think it's time for our draft update.
My last thing is just that I want to talk about Enzo really quick. Sorry, I just have so many.
I have an Enzo point too. But,
yeah, I think I'm nervous for Enzo going forward, because I think that. Well, okay, I'll start with that. I think he's been doing. I think that what's made him go so far is the same reason why David didn't go so far. And it's because Enzo like knows when to say things and knows when not to. But David only thought like he needs to know when not to say things, which was like never. He like never told anybody anything when they'd ask. But Enzo like chose Cody. He's like, if I just tell Cody everything, then I have someone to the end. He knows he can trust me, this whole thing. And it has really, really paid off for him. I mean, him telling like that what happened there is it made it so that Cody then told him about the committee. They trusted each other. Yeah. Enzo had a leg up on that. Then Enzo goes to Cody and says, guess what? Tyler just told me about the committee. And it just gives him this leeway that it's been, those are Enzo's big moves, is what he says and what he doesn't say, which is the kind of player that I like. I don't care about competitions as much. For just me personally, I like to see players that are making little strategic moves like that. So he's the last person that I'm like really deeply interested in watching, because I do think he's making these little thoughtful moves. And even if he's just convincing me that he's making them, I think that's cool too. You're doing a great job and you're manipulating me, which makes you the kind of player that I like. So I'm rooting for him, but I am worried because I do think Cody has Nicole over him in the end because of whatever,
I think so.
pre-gaming.
I think that too, but like he did work so hard to win Cody's favor this week by like, or I mean, even last week, telling him about the wise guys immediately, the double-sided like wise guys thing.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah,
that was really smart.
Was like that's a great example of really like actually working for trust.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's like my last hope to beat Cody.
Yes.
Also, so this is my point with him was that he was wearing this is a dumb thing, but he was wearing a shirt. He's worn the shirt a couple times that says Bayonne, as in Bayonne, New Jersey. And this whole time I thought it said Bayvon, as in a truncation of Bailey and Davon's names, and that he was like a fan and like was rooting for their final two, and had somehow like made that shirt in the house, I guess.
I was so confused for the longest time. I thought the exact same thing. I thought he got the shirt from like, you know how they wear shirts from previous comps?
Right.
I thought that like there was somehow a shirt that combined their names and that he was wearing that shirt. And I was like, that's weird. He always wears that. And then I noticed another shirt had it and I was like, okay.
He also has a hat.
Yeah.
Like, that's really funny. Okay, well, I want to I don't think Ellen wants to, but I want to talk about our draft.
All right. Oh, should I wait for the...
Wait, let's just start there.
All right, draft update. Unfortunately, I am out of the draft.
Oh, poor Ellen.
With a whopping 7 points, I have exited the draft as Tyler, my last Alliance member, has left the building.
Bummer.
Taryn, you have 8 points.
Okay.
And you have 2 people left, Christmas and Nicole. And Sam, you have a whopping 13 points with Enzo, Cody, and Memphis. So all I'm going to say is things are looking really good for Sam right now.
Yeah.
They really got to get Cody out next week if anyone else wants a chance at winning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this is also now boys against girls.
Yes, yeah.
So that's interesting.
I don't think Christmas and Nicole are going to join forces here.
Well, no, but Taryn's team is all girls and your team is all boys.
Oh, yes. Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I certainly think Sam's probably gonna win this draft, but hey, you never know.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people want to take Nicole to the end just because I don't know why, but I guess
I would love that at this point. That would be a shocker to anything that's a surprise would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm worried about with Enzo is I think his next move needs to be to get Memphis or Christmas out or something, but I think his next move needs to be to get Nicole out.
Absolutely.
Oh,
and
sure.
I don't know how he can do that, but he needs to do that without and you know what? I don't even know. I think it might internally freak out Cody, but Cody won't be able to show it on the outside because if Nicole was leaving, Cody needs to save face for his other final twos that he has in place.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think he can do it without I don't know, ruffling any feathers with Cody, at least externally, because Cody can't really react to it. He has to pretend like, yeah, sure, let's get Nicole out.
Yeah.
I don't
definitely.
know.
It's gonna be kind of a fun week. I mean, I'm lying, but but you
It
know
might
what?
be.
It might. You never know what's gonna happen.
Maybe Christmas will go like just crazy on everyone and
Maybe
try to like, I don't know.
That'd be cool.
I would only be very disappointed. I think my worst case scenario at this point would be Memphis winning.
Memphis
HOH.
wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather Christmas wins.
Me too. Ugh, I don't even want to say
Yeah.
that, but yeah. Actually,
No, I agree.
that wouldn't be good either for me. If Enzo won, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'd hate a Nicole win.
Yeah.
Because she would probably target Memphis and Christmas, but
Mhm.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's going to be another week, okay? I won't lie. I'll just say it's going to be another week in the Big Brother house. we'll see how it goes. All right, everybody. I really want to thank you all for joining us here at House Meeting Podcast. Thank you so much to Daniel for supporting us on Patreon. If you want to join Daniel, it's patreon.com/house meeting. Thank you two for joining us, and we are going to see you all at the next house meeting. All right, guys. Hey, we made a almost 45-minute episode out of nothing.
I thought it was a good episode too.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was good.
All right, I have to pee so bad, so
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
See ya.